Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Dear students of honors third year, I am talking for you. Most welcome to online video class. This is MM Azharul Islam, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Tongi Government College, Kajipur. So dear student, course title 17th and 18th century non-fictional prose. From this one, Francis Bacon is a famous essayist. So I would like to discuss on his famous writing of love. So today's topic is of love, written by Francis Bacon. So dear students, stay connected with me and listen to me carefully. I am talking of love. Bacon's essay of love is about the evils of depriving and unchecked love, the goodness of marital love and the purity of universal love, and the consequences of the three. So dear students, table of contents: reality of love, let history be the guide, quoting womanly affections, conclusions, and play quiz. So first of all, I would like to discuss reality of love. Bacon starts the essay by describing the form of love portrayed on the stage and in stories and plays. It is unrealistic as it is often filled with ecstasy and charm. It is shown to be noble and in a lot of ways easy to understand. But in real life, love is far more mischievous and difficult to understand. It demands sacrifices, compromises, and offers a lot more sorrow and torment than shown on the stage. Life of love can have a catastrophic end. The present age is full of examples of great men meeting tragic circumstances in their pursuit of love. History and the past are full of stories of men of great substance and stature being swept to their utter ruins by the storm of love. They have been entranced by the madness of romance. On the flip side, there have been wise people who have refused to be conquered by the allurements of love and used their intellect and wits to remain to the snares and tricks of flirtation and temptation. So dear students, now I am talking, let history be the guide. Bacon gives some historical examples to state his notion. He reminds us of Marcus Antonius, who was a forthright and ambitious man and was given the rings of a powerful empire like Rome. Another man of the fabled triumvirate was Claudius, who was also given the ring of 1/3 of Rome, while Antonius was impulsive and easily swayed by the desires of the heart. Claudius was wise, content, and showed restraint. Consequently, Antonius seized temptation and strayed into disrepute. Claudius gained praise for his unrearing resolution, sagacity, and influence. Bacon then introduces the lessons of Greek philosopher Epicurus, who was a proponent of exercising restraint and self-control. In his works, he extolled and encouraged a life of austerity and the dangers of pleasure seeking. For him, great warriors enslaved to the wiles of their paramour and object of desires are an abomination The sight of a strong man dancing to the whims of his beloved woman is an unfortunate reality. In a sense, it is disregard and derogation of the great gifts and talents that those men would have otherwise used for great feats and achievements. Dear students, follow me. In Bacon's opinion, untrammeled and unrestrained love only brings discomfiture to men. Such impassioned desires for someone can only lead to emotional and reckless judgments and causes men to err terribly. It devalues their standing and importance. People who are love struck eulogize in exaggeration about the beauty and qualities of their beloved, and such heady praise only cloud their sanity and rationality. It reduces their ability to think clearly and often leads to the destruction of the inner balance or fortitude of men. Such undeserved and unwarranted praise is unbecoming of a man of substance and value, and such men compromise their wisdom to earn the approval of their women. Such hyperbole is an insult to their intelligence. So, dear students, now I would like to discuss courting womanly affections. Please follow me. Such men suffer from a weakness of character. Such weak characters are easily discernible in society. Such contests of love and dotes only ever have two outcomes. Firstly, in case the woman does not reciprocate the feelings, she labels the man as pathetic and spineless being and treats him with sheer contempt. Another outcome is that she reciprocates it and he becomes imprisoned by her beauty and affection. Bacon warns the men who have such romantic ambitions to be aware of such consequences of amorous pursuits. It can lead a complete devastation and ruin. He reminds them of the fateful demise of a man infatuated by a woman named Helena. In his mad pursuit of her affections, he sacrificed and lost the love of two other beautiful women, Juno and Pallas. He goes on to admonish men who are chasing wild pleasures of the senses and womanly courtship. In their craving for carnal gratification, they end up sacrificing their wealth, health, and sanity. In moments of vulnerability, when men pull their guards down, they are inundated by such passions and desires, and it leads to further misery. In moments of adversity and drudgery, such desires are rare and infrequent. In times of comfort and abundance, and in times of sadness and distress, those men yearn for carnal and sensual pleasures. Both circumstances heighten the man's desire for amorous engagements. So, dear students, it is compared to childish folly, very important theme of love. Such follies of unchecked can turn into capitulation of health, riches, professional accomplishment, etc. It can distract men from going after the truly great and noble endeavors in life. Now Bacon compares the weakness of men for women to that of women, be it brave warriors or might statesmen. All men are susceptible to the allure of a fine wine and beautiful women. To them, the perils and horrors of war and politics are offset through the pleasures in the company of attractive women. So, dear students, now I would like to discuss conclusion, the last part of this discussion, conclusion. According to Bacon, men are innately designed to satiate the need to love. They are born with the instincts to seek and spread the love. But if this love is extrapolated and spread universally instead of being reserved for one person or a small group, it can be truly noble. It can become a force for good. Such unfettered love for the whole humanity can lead to philanthropy and charitable endeavors. Love in marriage is the force for the creation of life. Love in the form of friendship honors source of life. However, unrestrained love of devising and depraved desires is ruinous, unsavory, and unearthly. Actually, Francis Bacon discussed different issues regarding love, positive, negative, useful, unusefulness, many sides of love he discussed, and in different ways according to the functions and activities and influence of love. Actually, either of love is good or bad, that is not a matter. Human life is impossible without love. Love is such a thing which cannot be defined properly. You cannot avoid love, even sometimes you cannot accept it. It's such a thing. Okay, no matter love for mother, love for God, love for society, love for humanity, positive love must be practiced in our real life. This is all from today. I think all of you have understood on the essay of love discussed and delineated by Francis Bacon. So no more today. And this is all from today. Thank you. Stay at home. Stay safe. No more today. Bye. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.